Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Patrons review today that I'm making for Dinnerhe as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a track by an act named Bialystocks titled Shiawase no Mawarimichi, if I haven't butchered that pronunciation. The translation, as I understand it, being Detour of Happiness, with the lyrics and composition from Motosora and arrangement from Bialystocks. So we're going to listen to this track from start to finish and we're going to hear what we think. We also have lyrics to read through as well, and I will show the lyrics for the track through Spotify on the screen as we listen through the piece for you to enjoy if you understand the language. Let's go. Instantly so gentle. Fantastic with sound design around the headphones. See, that was fun. I think we cut the bar half a lot earlier than we were maybe expecting traditionally before the chorus, and it piques your interest because you're like, whoa, we're being thrown into it. Because even though this track is really chill, that isn't always a fantastic thing in regards to composition. You need some bit of spiciness like that change I just mentioned to sort of keep things unpredictable. I mean, that's a beautiful synth sound, or is that a guitar? That wah 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 wah, that might be a synth to be fair. With some brass in there as well, that's got a great sort of a sheen to it. Really satisfying crackle to the snare drums as well. See, that was fun. Those falsettos, again, an unexpected twist. Shows our vocal range, but in a way that's also respectful and beneficial to listener. Those chops were kind of intriguing as well. Is there like a lack of piano in this? Is it just keys? Because I can hear brass, guitar, drums, synths. I suppose synths are technically keys, aren't they? Depending on how you view it. I reckon that's probably guitar with heavy filtering. Because you can hear the striking of the strings there with a quick attack. There might be some subtle sub keys there. I'm really stoked with that. I thought it was a beautiful song. I'm really glad that I was suggested this by Dinnerhe. I like Bialystocks. I don't understand the language natively, although you may have seen me kind of knowing where to position the lyrics at times. I do recognize some of the symbols. Like, I do, like that is I don't know if you can see it, that's Ra. That's a RA sound. That's like a she or something like that. And To. That's like a To sound, I think. I studied a little bit of Japanese, but not enough. Clearly not enough to be fluent. But I mean, I'd like to go to Japan at some point, so I might have to get a bit better at it, eh? So we've got the lyrics here. For as long as I can in this place with the heartbeat of seeing you, if we leave footprints, even yesterday sways. When you strip away happiness, it unravels without a form and sensitive to the end. For as long as I can with the heartbeat of these days, if I hear your footsteps, I'll share with you the swaying of yesterday. Okay, so this is a very poetic way of describing some concepts that I think I understand, and we'll talk though about those more in the conclusion. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Bialystocks titled Shiawase no Mawarimichi, or Detour of Happiness. Now, what I think this track is about, I think this track is about the vocalist or the storyteller expressing to the other person that perfect things still have cracks, basically. They're aware that there's no such thing as like a perfect life or a perfect moment. But when they're with that person, their world lights up and they experience this sort of increased level of utility from it. They, I wish to be with you just like this forever, and if overflowing emotions, someday we'll meet again. I think maybe they're trying to sort of imply that they were better when they were together, and even maybe they were together at some point and they realized just how much they did miss each other, or this person's sort of saying this, they realized how much they appreciated the other person. Maybe it was too late, but either way, I think it's about realizing that with that other person, they can dance together, they can have a great life together and have a better existence than without them. I think that that's the detour, is going away from what they think is the right thing to do and realizing, hey, there's an alternative and maybe things will be better if we follow that. I think that's a beautiful story. It's told incredibly well, very poetic, very beautiful with the way it's written. I think if that is how the beauty translates with the translation, as I understand, you don't always get the quote-unquote poetry or the true intent of lyrics when they're translated between languages. I can only imagine the Japanese would be utterly stellar, but look at it this way. I think the vocals, in addition to the story, are phenomenal. We had a great sort of sweetness and softness to the performance for the entire part of it. Sure, there was some falsettos where we needed a bit more power with our performance, a bit more oomph, but that comes with the technique. It's very difficult to do convincing falsetto unless you have complete control over your vocals in regards to head and chest voice, and we clearly have solid vocal technique with some interesting sort of legato runs in addition to the more sort of straightforward passages in some of the verse sections. There was a lot of range there and diversity to it, and I appreciate the charisma and the characterization of it all. I think it's very integral to a positive listening experience to have that amount of effort put in. I think, to be honest, it should be industry standard within pop music nowadays. But going beyond that, I just think we had really compelling concepts that are translated well, both literally and figuratively within the rest of the mix and the arrangement, and I'm glad that they did it like this. I don't see how they could have improved it. I think part of the reason why the vocal works is because of the way the song is written and, it performed. It's 3 minutes 45, which is within the 2 to 4 minute sweet spot for tracks, with less than 2 minutes being too short, and you're often missing a necessary amount of context to really flesh out an idea that's potentially arguably worth telling. There's nuance to that, but in exceptions, but you know what I mean. Whereas if you go over that 4 minute mark, it can just be a little bit counterproductive. You can get to a point where it's like, yeah, I don't think that we needed as much of that thing. You tend to copy and paste sometimes unless you go into a completely new section. So in that regard, I think that we smashed it. The combination of the various instruments within this it's an unwittingly complicated arrangement, because you had the guitar as the bass, the drums, but you also had brass sections and these other sort of sub layers and lots of different vocal, lots of different little bits of intrigue, should I say. I think if I talk about a few of the instruments I really appreciated, actually, before that, I suppose I should just say that for a track that had verses and choruses, and we were sort of spread out the way we did, with some unpredictable endings to like the verses or the bridge transitions going into the choruses. I just like the fact that the composition itself, the structuring with the verse chorus, was relatively simple, but also just incredibly easy to listen to. and intriguing throughout. They managed to get a whole lot of real estate into a track, which, if they had not put as much attention, like there were little like choppy bits as well, like we cut up some of the themes in the last chorus there and presented it slightly differently in a way that was clearly meant to provide a more beneficial listening experience to the listener who may not have been interested in hearing that same chorus for a third time. They're aware, I think, that unless you add like a dedicated lead section or switch up the theme there or go in a completely new sort of like nuanced kind of position, it can be a bit too much. And yeah, they nailed it. But like the guitar parts were fantastic. I liked the way they were characterized for them, interesting sort of clean, funky parts. I'm reasonably sure that the third harmonies with the really kind of crazy filtering, that was guitar with like some chorus and some kind of rotary stuff going on. It was warped in a way that was really satisfying. It was gorgeous. There were also some other sort of like leadish kind of bits on the sides later on towards the end. There was a great exploration of the instrument. It was really compelling with the way it articulated the harmonies really well, and I'm satisfied with the way it was performed. Bass lines as well were really active. There were some interesting points where we came down a little bit. There was room for the bass guitar to kind of perk up a bit and speak its truth, and it did. We had interesting explorations of the fretboard there, working well within the scales and motifs present within the track in a way that was very respectful to the rest of the arrangement and the performance going on, showing great chemistry. And really well done, really fascinating, to be honest. I like the energy within there, and that we didn't just pocket the entire time. The drums were great as well. The drums were pocketing, I think, more than anything else, and I think that was really important because when you have that added complexity of not just the guitars and bass, but also just all the rest of the instruments, you need to have something that's like an old faithful, and that was the drums in this one. It just kind of kept things moving forward, and it wasn't always there. It wasn't always as present. It was never too present, if you know what I mean. I'm happy that we had that sense of groove there and that it didn't oversaturate the mix. The brass that we had there, I think, played some unison notes with the triads or the extensions, and I think that was very smart because it allowed for a glow, a sheen to the track that was really warm and vibrant and positive, and it was gorgeous. And I just think it was a really smart idea to have that as a very minimalist concept that just niched well into the overall arrangement. And then finally, if there were any other sort of like synth or other sub-layer parts, the little key parts, they're enough that it made me question what they were and what they were doing, but I understood musically the intent of it. I think it was very clever. It's great to have dimensionality to your track when you're writing one. You have the main components and then bits underneath to kind of like be, oh, what's that? Like if you listen really closely, it's like an Easter egg, like a reward. And we had that in here. I would hesitate to know what the songwriting process was for this track, but I think that we start with the basics and then we just keep stacking and stacking until we just get a really intricate little piece like this that just absolutely smashes it out of the park. I'm very satisfied with what I heard from Bialystocks today. The songwriting is awesome, and the theme itself was very calming and peaceful and friendly, and it never tried to overstay its welcome, and it sort of communicated it wanted to have that kind of that acquaintance or closer with that other person, but understood that there might need to be some distance and some time, and that's okay. It was very friendly and charming, and that's exactly what we needed in addition to the vocals and the lyrics. So the theme made sense there with the use of the triads, occasional extensions, but nothing more than that. We were trying to sort of keep it relatively harmonically accessible. We nailed it, and any lead passages sort of segged well with those. Finally, the studio recording, mixing, and mastering was tremendous. I'm really stoked with how everything was mixed. It was sort of recorded and sort of stuck together. Words escape me sometimes. The way that things were captured, the performance was just absolutely top. It's commercial grade. The vocals are nice and present in the mix without being too overpowering. There was considerable dynamic range within this. Things were not the same loudness the entire time. Things went up and then down. I think the verse, bridge, sort of chorus, because my brain's saying there was a verse and a bridge and a chorus. Going like center, down, up, that's very satisfying. It's not all the same thing the entire time. That's the beauty of having variations in how you present a musical concept, and it's so integral to success. I get that there's a lot of artists probably making a lot of money nowadays at a top level with less, and that the less is more mentality can work in certain situations, but there is no reason to not spoil your listeners with added bits of zazz, right? So they did that well. Things were nicely niched in the frequency spectrum, no resonant frequencies. Things were nice and wide in the stereo field. The music surrounded you and had different bits of guitars or brass or bass or whatever else on different sides there, and you could follow along and kind of go backwards and forwards, and the vocals I think change positions as well occasionally, though I could be misremembering that. In general, it was nice though with the pumping, so the bus compression it was handled well, and this is effectively an incredibly positive review of this track, Shiawase no Mawarimichi from Bialystocks, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please do go show them some love via the various social medias and the Spotify page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next SP Patrons video. Spiderhands out.